What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will continue the physics fundamental course 3 of this part, and I know that I've been making some part of this physics fundamental for you guys, but this time we are doing the real life footage course, and I've showed you a lot of things in fractured and how to make things happen with fracture, how to break things up, and I want to show you guys how to composite this and how to add these elements in real life footage, because they always say everything always looks good in cubes and sphere. But let's go ahead and try this in real life footage. So this is the course 3, and I will show you a lot, and I will show you some things that you have not seen, and this will be the combination of what I've showed you and the new stuff I will just want to show you right now. So let's analyze this footage and let's see what we got. So let's play this footage and let's see what we are working with. Alright, so for this you can see that I just move away, like something like blast happened here. So that's what we are working with. So when you look at this footage itself, you see that there's nothing really going on in this footage. There's no camera movement or anything, so we are not doing camera tracking. So for that we just have to recreate this side and fracture it, then do the blast. So this will be a fun tutorial, and just sit back and watch this tutorial and don't skip any part of this tutorial because it will be very detailed and you don't have to miss any part of it. Okay, so the first thing I would have to do now is to go back to the layout here. So what we do now, we don't have to delete this cube, and you might delete it if you want to. So let's analyze this camera first. So let's arrange it and align it properly. Okay, so I'll just let me turn on my screencast. Okay, so let's lock this camera to view, then drag it down like so. This angle is okay for me. So what I do now is select the camera, just go here, then choose background image, then click here, then add movie, click here, then add my footage. Okay, so when you drag this up, and this is the frame is 118, so this is what we are working with in 3D. And what we have to do now is to align this cube to match that position of the perspective. Okay, so what we are going to do is to align it. I'll just drag this back here just to align this properly. Okay, I'll just start by just editing this cube and adjusting it, stretch it back. So I'll just click on the camera itself, press N, then lock camera to view. So with this I will just drag the camera, like I will rotate the camera by R, then Z. You can see that when I rotate the camera, the object in it is rotating, and this is exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, that is okay for that. So I'll just go back to the object, drag it back a bit to the end of the wall like so. And for this top part, I just go back to the face, then drag this forward a little bit like so. So and for this I'll drag it up, and you can see that this is not aligned, the top part is not aligned properly. So I'll just go back to the camera, lock the camera. So I'll just drag this down. Okay, you can see that the camera is aligned now, you can see. So I'll just drag this down. You can see that it's a rough job, but it works, and that is what matters. Okay, so we have this now, everything is good to go. Okay, if you don't have this fracture, this is the self fracture, and if you don't have that, just go to the edit here, go to preferences like so, and click on add-on, then type fracture. So when you tick this, then make sure you save this, and next time you open Blender you don't have to do that again. And the next thing now is to break this. So that is what we will do. Okay, before we do that, we have this object. Okay, and there are several ways to break something in Blender, and the one I'll be using right now is the grease pencil. So annotation key, so I'll just click here to the annotate. So I'll just drag some things here. So this will be the part I want to break up, you can see, and that is how it works. You can see that it's drawing this here because this is the origin and this is where this cursor is. So it draws at the cursor like that. So I just undo that and do that. So I'll just make sure, go back to the object. So I just click on the object and you can see that this cursor is at the surface of this cube, and that is good. So I just go back to this, then draw, and this time when I'm drawing, I'm drawing on the surface, exact on the surface, and this is better. So I just draw a rough things here to the part I want to break up, and this is the part I want to break up. Okay, so when I just tab this fracture, then I'll just click on save fracture. Now we have this, and we have this annotation pencil, so I'll just click on that, and we will give this source limit to 300 for the particles. So I'll just give it a noise of 1, and this material I'll just give it the material 1 and half smooth interior. So don't smooth the interior, but let's leave that for now. And for this we need to put this in a collection, which I will just type the collection which I want for this. So I just make this a fracture collection. So fracture will be the collection. So everything is good. Now let's click on OK to execute the fracture. So wait some seconds and it will be done. Okay, and this is done. You can see that we have a lot of breakages here. So this is exactly what we are going for. And when you go back to the object, you can see what we are doing here. So in this collection, we have a lot of collection in this object. So you can see that the collection I created with the fracture exists here. So this is exactly what we want. Okay, so what happens here, you see when you just press N, you can hide this annotation, and we can hide it. You can see you can toggle this on and off, so that is good. And let's go back to this selection, and for this we have the original object and we have the fractured object. So this is the original object here. You can hide that. You can see now we have a clean fractured scene. And let's check the material first before we start doing the fun part. Let's check the material. So I'll just drag this back so that I can see the interior. Okay, so what I will just do here is to go to the preview render. So I will go back. I'll just drag this up a bit. Okay, so I'll just go to the material tab here. You can see I'll just give this a random color. You can see that. So I'll add another material, add new. You can see that as I add new material, it inserts it to the back of this interior. So I'll just leave this as white. Okay, I'll just click on that and press. After clicking on this, just go to the fracture here, left click and right click rather, then select object. So what we do now is select all the objects in the selection. I will just go to the object here, go to the link up, make link, then glue to material. We want to link all the material. You can see that now we assign this exact material to the whole of this object in this scene, and which is exactly what we want. You can see. So we can now play with the interior and give it something nice. Okay, so that is that. So for this, I'll just drag this slightly back to the position. I know it's not, it doesn't have to be perfect because that will not even be visible to the camera. So it doesn't matter for now. So let's just continue. Okay, now let's just go back here. This is the collection, and for this we are not breaking everything in this part, and we are breaking some part of this. But before we do that, let's select all these objects once again. Select all the objects. Now go to the edit mode and select A to select all the vertices. Okay, now let's go to the UV. You can see how rough the UV is. So we want to project this UV from view. Let's assume we are doing it in this frame 60 frame. Guys, you have to render this and you have to make sure you do your video as image sequence. It's very, very important in doing VFX. Okay, we work with image sequence because it's more efficient and you can do a lot of things with image sequence. So it's better you do image sequence, because I'm going to use image sequence for this. So this footage itself is image sequence. So you will see some things I will show you guys so that you know that image sequence is better rather than. So let's project this exact frame. Okay, so press A, just tap, press A to select all, and U, and project from view. So what we did now is we project all this frame to this exact position of this sequence. That's what we just did right now. So when you go to the UV editor, you can see how it aligns in the UV section. Okay, now, so the next thing I want to do now is to isolate where I'm going to break from where I'm not breaking. So this wall, we are not breaking every part of this wall. This will not be good. And what we do is to select the part we are breaking up. So I just deselect that, press C, then select the part you are breaking, and press OK, and let's view the camera to see the part we've selected. And we can just select more, press C, then select this side, everything. Now I think this is good for the break. So what I will do now is to isolate the part I'm not breaking. Instead of that, I just press Ctrl then I to invert the selection. You can see that it selects our camera and these two. So I just click on this Ctrl, then bracket, then deselect this camera and this lamp. So what I do, I will just press M. I will just a new collection. In this collection, I'll just choose this is non-fracture. This is the non-fracture, and I'm not breaking this, so that's why I put it to non-fracture. So for this, you select this, you can see that now we can select only the part we are breaking up. You can see this part is selected. So select one of this part here. So I'll just add the rigid body to this. So you can add the rigid body in this physics here. I've showed you several ways to add the rigid body. You can add it here in rigid body, but you can also do it in this object here. Go back to rigid body, then add active. So you can do it either both ways, it works. So this is active right now, and this is the only cube that is active. You can see what it's doing. Okay, so I will just select that, then go back to the fracture, then right click, then select all the other part we want to break, then go back to object once again, then come down to the rigid body. Then what we do is to add everything to active. So play this, we have every pieces active. You can see the way it's falling down from the O. You can see that this is exactly what we want. So what we do next is to make sure we have this part passive, rigid body passive, and because we isolate that, it will be very easier for us. So to select that, now right click, then select all the one we don't want to break. So just add a rigid body to that. Just select one of the parts, just add the rigid body, then click here, then change it to passive. Then you can add it here also. So now right click again, select all the objects in it. Now click here, put rigid body, then add passive. Now we have everything in passive. You can see that when you just play this right now, you can see the way this is breaking up. You can see. So this is exactly what is going on. So what we want is that we don't want to break. We don't want this to start breaking from the frame 1 of this video. So we want it to break up in exact frame we choose. So like let's say 40 right there, 50, from 40 to from 39 to let's say 45 should be break. So let's leave it to 39. Okay, so we want this to start breaking from 39 frame. So it's easy to do that. Let's select one of the pieces we are breaking up. So select one of the pieces. Now what we do now is just to come down here to the dynamics, select the activation. Now select start deactivated. Okay, by doing this won't start unless it has some animated rigid body to eat it before it starts breaking. I've showed you in the previous tutorial. So I'm just doing this once again so that you can understand better. So this is how you do this once again. So I'll just go ahead and select all the remaining parts. So I'll just click here, rigid body. So I'll just copy from active. So what I did is to copy this, the one I just did here, this active one, to copy it to all of this fracture that I selected. So now each and every piece has the same settings, okay, which is good. So when you play this, everything looks standstill, but we know what we are doing. So now we need something to eat it, and we can just have something basic. We can add a cube to this. So want this cube to eat it in frame 39. Let's add this back here like 25. Click here to add the auto record. So move this, you can see that I add a keyframe. Now in this 32, let's press 0 to see what is going on. So in this 40, exactly the 40, so let's eat it like so. So let's make sure we eat the center part like so. In this 40, so we just go ahead and add this also as active object. So by adding this to active, you can see that it just fall down, and that's what we do. So we just click on this animated, and this is what we want. So you can see how we push it and everything blasts off. So from this 40, you want to drag this back, just bounce this back. Okay, so just play that. You can see this is exactly what we are looking for. You can see how it moves on. You can see that. Okay, so that is good. Save that. Okay, I'll just undo this and take this. So for this, okay, now let's deal with the material and leave all this for now. Okay, now let's deal with the material. So for this, let's go back to the shading tab. Now we have everything going on in the shading. When you just pick a single face or single object, you can see that we have two material for this. We have the interior and the inner and the outer part of this. So for the outer part, we are using this exact frame we fractured that we make this in. If you remember, we do the UV in the frame 60. That's what we will have to add in this. So for this outer part, we just use that. So for this, we are not using any shading, so we delete that and go to add that 60 frame I did. Then I'll just click here to drag it here. So what I did now, I project the exact shot from this to that. So that's why you need image sequence. That is very easy to handle. Okay, so now we have exact things going on here. You can see what is really going on here. So when you just click on the camera, then go back to the camera here, let's drag the opacity to 100%. You can see that it looks opaque, that it's not even seamless. If you look at it story, you see that it's only one thing here, and what I did is to project it, and that is what's really going on there. Okay, that is good. So the next thing now is to do the interior. So the interior is very important in what we are doing right now. So just go back to the shading, click on one piece. Now let's do the inner. So for this, we need this principal BSDF. So what we first have to do is to add a noise texture. Press Shift A, go to the texture, add a noise. For this noise, when you check this noise texture, let's look at the inner interior. You see what is going on in this noise texture. We can increase the detail all the way up, and the size, we can expand the size. Let's leave the size to something 8.5 like so. So the next thing is to add a color ramp to this converter. Add a color ramp to this. Okay, and add a bump node to this vector, then select bump. Now drag this input to the height of this bump and drag the normal. You can add it to emission and see what we're doing here. If you add it to the emission, 6 down to calculate. I don't know why, but you can see what is going on in the emission. This is how it will look like. when you drag it into the normal. So put in the normal to see exactly what we are doing. Okay, this is what we are doing, and this is exactly what we are looking for, because we don't want this inner interior to look basic. So what we do now is to increase the roughness to 100%, 1% rather. So this is what we are looking for in this interior, and you can leave it like this, and you can just tweak the color. Okay, let's use color ramp to tweak the color for this basic color ramp. The color ramp is very, very powerful in Blender, and it's a good thing we have color ramp in Blender. Very, very much powerful. So for this, we can just check the color to see what we want. So for this black part, I'll just choose something like brownish color, and let's something like this, and this should be, let's say, white. Okay, so what I will do now is to drag input from this color ramp here to this. So this is what is going on. You can see that it's really, really cool. So we can just drag this back a little so it looks seamless. So what we do is to just put everything together, and let's wait for it. And you can see exactly what we get. So for this, we can also do this a little bit of brownish. Let's add a little bit of brownish to this, like something yellow and brownish. You can see that this is really, really cool, and this is better. Okay, let's go back to the solid, and let's play this from the beginning of the shot, like so. You can see what is going on here. So now that we have this, now you can add a particle system to this, which would be very nice if you have a particle system going on here like I did in my own. But this is the basic of this effect, and you can just render this out and you are good to go. So before I do the render, I'll just make sure I put this in cycles. So I will just add GPU to this. I don't know if my GPU can handle this, but let me just add GPU to this, and let me give it a preview render to see what is going on. You can see what is really going on here in the preview render, and this part is dark because of the light going on in the scene. So I can just delete the lamp and add a sun. Sun should be more better, and one will be at the back and the other will be at the front, like so, pointing towards there. You can see. And also I can go to the shading, go to the word part, then increase this from down, then raise it up. By doing that, we are having something like this. So when you go back to the preview, you have something like this. So the next thing is to go here, just go to the render settings there. Now go to frame, now choose a transparent. You can see what we're really working with in this transparent, and this is exactly what we are looking for. Just break up everything. Alright guys, so you know, when doing VFX, a lot of things happen in the scene, and a lot of things are being covered just to hide some parts and just to do some stuff. You can look back here, you see that this also break through this back, and we don't want this to appear in the scene. You can see this back, and we don't really want that in the scene. So when you render this, just let's do a test render. You can see that this back thing is rendered also, but we don't want that. We can do this with a couple of tricks. So we can do this in masking or do it in composited. In the composited way, we do it in mask here, then do it here inside the composite tab. But I can show you the way you can do this in 3D, and it's much faster, and it does it the way the mask in composite also we do it. And when we have something that we do it exactly what we want, so why don't we use it? And let me show you how to do this. So we have something like this in the scene, so let me just go ahead and play this through again. So if you don't want this to be just caching every time, you can just, let me show you how to do this. You can select all. You can go here in this rigid body. You have the rigid body tab here. in this same properties, you can just click on the rigid body right here, go to the cache. Now we set this to exact frame we are using, which is 118. You can save this like that, then we can just bake it. So by doing that, you already baked, so you can just play through here and it shouldn't give you any problem with that. So let's just go to the rendered here. So let me add a plane. So what we have to do is just add a plane. So scale this up way big. So we have to rotate this into the y-axis. So press R, then Y and 90. So we rotate that. Now go back to the camera view. So we have to make sure this covers only the part we don't want to see in the scene. So like so. So next thing you have to do is go back to the shading tab, click on new. Now we don't need this principled BSDF shading, just delete that. Now press Shift A, go to the shading. Now select a hold out shader. So this, when you plug this into the input, which is the surface of the material. Now let's go back to the layout and see what is going on. You can see that this part that we covered up doesn't show here anymore in the scene. So then this is exactly what we really want. So when you just shift this back, you can see that we have everything the same. So when you cover it up, you don't see it. And this is the way mask also will do it, and this one is very much faster, and I think when this does it, so why don't we use it? Okay, so the next thing is to just do the composite, and I will show you how to render this as a video. So a lot of you guys also want to know how to render in MP4, and I already do a video on that, and still some of you guys don't know how to do it. So I will just show you a better way of doing this, and you should just focus and know this right now. Okay, so let's go to the composite tab, and when you go to the composite tab, just click on use nodes. When you're doing that, you have only this render layer and the composite scene. So in this composite scene, you just have to add a viewer node to this to view what is going on in this 3D. So first of all, let's render this. Click here and render this for the last time. You can see that this part doesn't render, which is good. So let's go back to the composite. Now let's add a viewer node. Press Shift A, go to output. Now select a viewer. Put this aside, and you can see that immediately we add a viewer node, we see something here. So now let's add our movie clip. Press Shift A, go to the input. Now select a movie clip. So click here at the side of the movie clip and select our clip. So by doing this, now let's view this, and to come this together to add our movie. This is our movie and this is our element. So to add them together, we just have to add a color. Just go to color and select an alpha over node. Plug this here. Now let's add this together. Just add this down. Our element should be down, then movie clip should be up. So we have something like this. Alright, this is how it should be. Because of scale issue, my own doesn't match, and your own might fit because I already scaled this down, the resolution down to HD, not full HD anymore. So I have to adjust the scale. So to do this, I will just add a scale node. Just go Shift A, go to the vector, go to distort. Now select a scale node. Now plug the scale node here. Now change it from relative to render scene. So by doing that, now we can see that this is working perfect, and that is exactly what we want. So you can do the color grading and do the cool stuff, and you have everything set up for you. Now let's do the color grading. You can do any style of color you want. It doesn't matter which type of color you do. When it comes to color grading, it doesn't matter really. So you can just do any color you like of your choice. So then you can just render this out anyhow. So now you can add smoke, and when you do, you can add smoke to this if you want. So let me quickly show you how to render this as a movie clip, as a video, so you guys will understand. So when doing this, you have to go to the scene. Now let's go to the render side here. In this output, you have to select an output for this. Click on that. Now I will select a video output here, which is in my file. When you check my file, this is video. What happens is that when I do this, it will render here. So that is exactly what I choose, a video. Now you can give this a name. You can do like fracture VFX 002. So I just give this name. So for this, I will just put .mp MP4 because we are rendering as MP4. Now click on Asset. By doing this, it doesn't matter that this will render as MP4 directly, because in this file format we still have PNG. So we have to change it to video. You can see this already have video codec here. So FFmpeg video, select that. Now go to this, click here, then change it to MPG4. So note that we must change this also. And by doing this, immediately we have this video codec to H.264, and this is exactly what we're looking for. So you don't have to change anything here. Okay, now you are good to go to render as animation. Just click on render, then render animation, and that is how to render as animation in Blender. And you have your file directory here in the video codec you choose. Okay, so that is how to do this, and this part of this tutorial is not end here. So we will still do more. This is the third part of this course. We will still do more. I will still show you some cool stuff about the particle system, the smoke, dust, everything, dynamic paints. I will still show you a lot of things in this course. So if you don't subscribe already, I just suggest you to subscribe so you don't miss any course I'm doing next. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in my next